Of all the animated series of the 2010s, Gravity Falls is probably most responsible for my sense of humor. I felt a kinship with both Dipper and Mabel in different ways. Dipper because in some circles I was the smart friend, however I would use big words that I didn't understand and was terrified of being called out on that. Also, I was very dyslexic. And I related to Mabel because I was very goofy and silly, and I enjoy slapstick humor as much as anyone else. And although I came for the humor, I ended up staying for the phenomenal world building, plot, and lore that surrounded this show. And I also just love that Gravity Falls has such a great ending. Like, I feel like it's one of the era of cartoons that didn't like overstay its welcome, but I've always wondered what that would happen to the characters after that final episode. So in this video, I redesigned all the characters of Gravity Falls, at least the ones that I'm interested in, and these are my headcanons surrounded what happens to them as adults. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the speed draw. So starting out, I just wanted to do a basic sketch of the composition. Who are the characters that I'm interested in, and let's have them front and center. Obviously, we have the twins. There's not going to be a Gravity Falls episode where they're not the main people we're exploring, but then for the most part, all of the side characters are mostly the younger cast. Like, I don't include Stan or even Seuss, because I feel like most of the adults, this is probably set like 10 to 15 years later. They probably haven't changed that much or that substantially. So I wanted to really focus on the younger characters of Gravity Falls. That's something scary in the background. I thought I was going to have like a monster chasing them through the streets. I ended up abandoning this mainly because it just seemed so irrelevant to the actual, subject matter of the video, and I didn't feel like designing a monster. Also, I'm remembering, I think I wanted to do just like a generic, like, Fleetwood's monster. I forget the name of that cryptid, but I had forgotten that. So instead, you just get this really atmospheric illustration in the background as we go into our characters. So starting with Mabel, I just have this vivid memory of that episode of Mabel where she wanted to be president when she grew up, or she wanted to be like a president. So I have her like in this sort of like business suit but also skirt combo that you would see many politicians. And my headcanon for Mabel is that she grew up to like hold office. So I imagine she has just failed miserably at a run either for Senate or for like the governor of Oregon. And so she's having to come back to Gravity Falls for this summer because she's either in like hiding because there was like a really big scandal with her political campaign, or she's like now running to be some sort of congressional district manager of Gravity Falls itself. But I have her with her grappling hook because I think that she still would have the sense of whimsy as she's like coming back to this place of her youth. But obviously her braces are gone. I gave the girl bangs and her headband is gone. But, we still keep most of those original colors. We just make them a little more, adultified. And then with Dipper, he's shirtless because I don't know, I just wanted to have him have tattoos and piercings. This is literally like every drawing of Dipper from Tumblr in the 2010s. Like, this is how we all imagine he would grow up. Also, I wanted to pay tribute to Gravity Falls' really large queer fan base. At the time, there's a very famous, kind of contemptuous relationship between Alex Hirsch and the Disney company because we were in a pre-Rebecca Sugar world. She had not yet made Steven Universe or even really the bubblegum Marceline canonical relationship. So kids shows at the time were like, no, you cannot have the two police officers be canonically gay. And you have to change this gay couple in this diner to an interracial couple because, it was the 2010s. So in my version, Dipper be trans. Dipper has top scars. Because, there's that episode with the Manotaur. So I feel like having Dipper be trans mask is symbolically really, like, resonant. But also if you're mad about it, some cis people get top surgery too because of gyno. So just consider that. But he trans, I'm mine. Get over yourself. Now we've moved on to Candy because I've always been such a big fan of the girlies in this show. I love them. It's me. So for my headcanon, I imagine that Candy has grown up and she has just taken out a small business loan and she's opening a maid cafe. that is dinosaur themed, because I've been, just fascinated with all of those roadside attractions that are like dinosaur themed whenever you're driving through small towns. I just, I feel like mixing those two things together has such a wild juxtaposition that it just made me laugh. So she's like getting ready for the grand opening, and some people that are helping move in for her new business are two of the corduroy boys. So these are some of Wendy's brothers who have now grown up, and I also put them in maid outfits because it's me, we have to have objectification across the board. So they're in these like funny little skimpy outfits, but also have these giant dinosaur foam heads. Yeah, I just think that this is hilarious. I feel like there's all sorts of opportunities for like comedy inside this dynamic. Yeah, and I just think I don't know, I'm really proud of this joke. I just think it works so well on multiple levels. Yeah, and I think the idea of a maid cafe in Gravity Falls works really well. Moving on now to Grenda. She has that famous episode where everyone was like, you can't get a boyfriend, Grenda. And then she does, and she bags a prince. A prince of like some strange Eastern European country. So because the other two girlies are going to be businesswomen, I have her be sort of like, not a trad wife, but just, a stay-at-home mom. So she has her baby strapped up, and she's in an outfit that's honestly very still Grenda. It's almost identical to her childhood outfit. Her and Wendy, I think, changed the least out of these images because I personally think those would be the characters that would actually change the least. And now here is Pacifica, Northwest, who is an iconic character. Y'all, I love a mean girl. I love Cheryl Blossom from Riverdale. I love Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. So this is a grown-up version of Pacifica, where she now owns like some business that has to do with golf, I think. I don't know, it's just some sort of generic business, but I gave her kind of like a little shorter bangs because I wanted her to be reminiscent of like Severance, and I love the shape language I did for her hair, and like I hollowed out her cheekbones. Like, I don't know. I gave her a golf clip because I know that she loves golf. So either she's golfing because she's on a business retreat, or her business has to do with golf. You decide. But I love the shape language for her hair. I think she still is recognizable as Pacifica, but like her head shape is the most different from her childhood self. Now we're on over to Wendy, who I think is the same, except now she's an open lesbian. This is a very popular headcanon because of that episode where she was like, oh no, I forgot to break up with him. So a lot of people like theorizing that she has compet, which is why she has so many boyfriends. And whether or not you subscribe to this, it's my channel. And if you didn't click on this for the LGs, the Bs, the Ts, and the Qs, what are you doing here? So yeah, she's just still very much a lesbian. She's just out now. And now she has a relationship with, you guessed it, Tambry. So Tambry, I have modeled off of a girl and several girls that I know in my life, and you probably know in yours, who had a scene kid phase in middle school and high school, but now shops at Target. So her style is much more mainstream. I think she still has some of her like cool alt girl taste in music, but now she chooses to present in a more, just like comfortable fashion. That's now her MO, but I still give her this cute little necklace and bracelet. Now moving on to Robbie and Gideon, I imagine that in this alternate world where it's like the twins have just come back for the summer and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Dipper and Mabel are back. The adventures are going to be ensuing. Robbie has taken over his parents' like mortuary cemetery business, but he's doing like evil underground dealings where he's like laundering souls or something. I may or may not have stolen that premise from an episode of Dimension 20. But yeah, I think he's working with Lil Gideon, who I've modeled after like alt-right, like grifter podcasters. I just think that's his lane, even though he did kind of have a redemption arc. That's, he was a televangelist. Now he does podcasts. And yeah, pretty much all I'm going to do now is just finish coloring the background and then do some lighting effects to make everything feel more cohesive. But I really enjoyed sort of coming up with this world for a future Gravity Falls, and yeah, I just wanted it to kind of be eerie and ghostly and have kind of like vibes from the the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated series. But yeah, this is the finished illustration. Please let me know in the comments down below who your favorite redesign was. Do you have any headcanons for these characters? How do you think they would interact as adults? And like, let me know your ships, because I know you have them. I know you have ships. I would like to read them. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed yourself, please like and subscribe. And if you really want to support the channel, please go to my link down below where you can check me out on Patreon. And for just $4 a month, you can have your name in the end credits. And speaking of end credits, here they are now. Special thanks to Anna Sophia Boyd, Axelius the Great, Bodhi, Blue Uwu, Bobby, Beck, Cake Daniel, K Clark, Christopher, Dabdudu, Aaron Martin, Dax Quinn, Emma Wee, Gay Jarris, J Johar, JD Boy 2000, Johan, Elizabeth, Hudis, Laka2, Geek Girls Rule, Kitsune Chibiko, Lucky Paradox, Melon, Mild Mothman, Mistake, Native Runner, Orion Amastasia, Pinecone, Potion, Celador, Rin, Scorching Ray, Sir Camelot, Small Sax Jammer, Shenanigans, Tad the Turtle, Tarthliner, The Real Michael, Thumper Daytime, Tony, Tortilla Chips Tuesdays Anyways, Tuncher Katie Bean, and Tuppence Pies. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nathan, and I'll upload a new video real soon. Bye!